So I'm back here at cylinder number 4. I've got my ring compressor on here so you guys can see that. And all that I'm doing is I just take and I make sure it's lined up in the back. I want to make sure it's going in square. And I'm just going to take and tap it in with my dead blow. And I'm just going to tap it in just till I get it in. My ring compressor comes off. And I'm just going to the back side here. I'm going to make sure that that connecting rod stays up in the air. And I'm just going to keep continuing to help this in until I can land that up on the connecting rod. And you could hear it hit there. And it's nice and flush on it. So I've got that in. I'm going to put my bearing cap on, torque it, bend over my tabs. And we've got pistons in this guy. Good to go. We're back. Our crankshaft is in. Everything is tightened down. The last time we were together, I had my first 3 pistons in. Crankshaft turned no problem. I put my last piston in, tightened it up like it's supposed to be, checked it with plastic gauge. It was a little on the tight side. I thought I'd be okay. Pull it apart, lubricate it, put it together, go to turn it. It won't turn easily at all. I'd use a 3-foot crowbar to try to turn it. Way too tight. So what did I end up doing? I ended up pulling it all apart, measured it with my calipers, found out that I had a high spot on one side. So what did I do? I took and very carefully with some crocus cloth, I polished it out. It wasn't off by much. It was very, very slight, but just enough to make it that much tighter. Polished it up quite a bit with some crocus cloth, really polished it out. As you remember, this crankshaft had some marks in it. They weren't bad, but there was nothing that was sticking up, so I thought I'd be okay. Well, I was a little high on this one. Anyway, polished up with some crocus cloth. Ended up checking it with plastic gauge probably about 2 or 3 times before I got it correct. And the last time I did it, of course, it measured out within spec. I put it back together, lubricated it all, went to spin it, did not need a 3-foot crowbar anymore. I was able to just take a punch that I have and put it here in the end of the crankshaft, and it spun the way it's supposed to. It doesn't spin easy. There's definitely resistance on it with the new rings and the new bearings and all that, and things are tight and snug the way they're supposed to. But I didn't have to lean on it, and that's what you're looking for. When everything is in spec, that's how it will turn. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because a lot of times people think, well, if I just measure everything out in a couple places and I put some new bearings in it, everything's going to work out fine. I'm not going to have to perfect or tweak anything. That might happen. It might not. As you remember, I did not take and have my crankshaft ground, and that probably has a lot to do with why I had that high spot. So that's kind of the risk that you take when you don't take and have full machine shop work done on it, and you kind of make what you have work, that you may have to take and spend some extra time with getting that polished up to the point where it moves like it's supposed to. The weird thing is this engine takes all standard bearings, and this journal was actually oversized. And I asked a couple people about that because that blew my mind. How does a journal get bigger on something that's over 50 years old? Well, the story that I got, that probably happened in production in the shop, that maybe it was a Friday or something and there was a couple minutes left and the guy was working on the last journal over here and he didn't get it quite down to where he wanted to get it, and he wanted to leave for the weekend, so he just shipped it down the line. And when they get to assembly, instead of going, hey, this is not within spec, send it back, have them regrind it, what do? They run and they get a bearing that's slightly, in that case it would be undersized, and they put that in there and they put it together and life goes on. Well, those are the challenges and the things that we run up against. I wanted to share that with you because you may run into that when you go to do your rebuild. But it's very, very important as you go through and you put these pistons in that I would take and check each one as you go. In case you get to one that gets tight, you can catch it immediately. And like I said, it should not be very hard to turn. You should be able to take and put a punch in here and take and turn it with basically one hand. It may take a little to get it going, but once it gets going, it should go. And it should have some resistance in it, but you shouldn't have to put a whole lot of work into getting it to turn. So I wanted to bring up the speed to that and let you know what I went through. I didn't see the need to record all that and share that with you. I think you can only take so much of me going like this with a piece of crocus cloth on the journal before I put you to sleep. So I spared you of that, but it's all together now, spins like it should. I've squirted oil onto all of the journal surfaces, so I know that nothing is dry in here. When I put it together, I put some in there as well. So it's all well lubricated. So at this point, we are ready. I can start putting in the rear main seal. We can put the front plate on and put the camshaft in and get that together. But before I do that, let me turn this 90 degrees so you can see it a lot better, and we'll get into putting this stuff together. So before we moved on with anything else on this engine, I just wanted to cover what we kind of tripped through on the last go-round with this. If you remember, I found out about 3/4 of the way through that I put my connecting rods in backwards. They were off 180 degrees. So what I had to do is I had to take and flip the connecting rods, not the pistons. That means I had to pull out the wrist pin, flip the connecting rod on the piston, put the wrist pin back on, and then put the pistons back in and put the bearing caps back on. Wasn't bad to do. It's easy when it's clean. It was just a bummer that it got all the way to that point until I figured that out. I don't know how I made that mistake. Everything that I've looked at so far makes total sense that they would have gone this way. I'll even show you in my parts diagram. It shows it going the correct way. How I messed it up, I don't know. But that's the reality of it, and that's why we do this show. I could have edited that. I could have never told you that that happened, but I want you to see what happens when you go through this and you do this. And you make mistakes, but you catch them, you check references, things like that. You're gonna make mistakes, that's okay. You go back, you fix it, you make it right. That's all part of learning. How did I know that I had them backwards? Because I went to go turn a crankshaft and one of the bolts in the bearing cap hit the inside of the casting. Dead giveaway, that's the wrong way. So went and did some more reference checks. I was wrong. So I have it all right now. Everything's installed, but I just wanted to go through that and just let you know. That's all part of it. And if you've never gone through a tractor before, don't be afraid to make those mistakes. Everybody makes them. It's very common. The thing is, you check it as you go, and when you find a mistake, you fix it. This is all part of the process. It's all part of learning. So don't be afraid to make mistakes if that's one thing that's holding you up from going through and restoring one of your machines. It's all a learning process. So I just wanted to cover that with you. At this point now, I actually am ready to put the camshaft in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that this evening. And I'm going to get that set up and get that in there, and I'll show you that. But before I do that, I'm going to go get my parts diagram. We're going to look at that book together. I want to show you how it's labeled in that book as far as the orientation of the connecting rods. And how did I mess it up? I have no idea. That's why I don't play lottery. I had a 50-50 chance of getting it right. I got it wrong. So I do everything the hard way. Well, let's take a look at that parts diagram, then we'll put that camshaft in. So real quick, if you look at this, you can see here, right here is your connecting rod. Your flywheel's back here, meaning this is the back of the engine. The pulley that goes on the front is here. So back of the engine, front of the engine. So it's orientated the same way I have it. If we were to turn it this way, that's how the engine's orientated right now. But if we take a look at that, that's got its back to me pretty much, so that the bearing cap comes from the other side. How did I screw that up and mess that up? I don't know, but I managed to do it. I'm human. What can you do? We got it right now. That's all that matters, but I wanted to point that out to you right here in the whole parts breakdown. Plain as the nose on your face, and I still messed it up. It's all right. We got it fixed. We're moving on. Let's get that camshaft put in. All right. I've turned this around. So now we can see the front of the engine. The first thing we need to do is put our big mounting plate on here. And of course, that requires a gasket that goes on like such. There's a pin down here. And I remember watching, I actually cheated again. I watched Squatch's video on how he did this. And I highly recommend, if you're doing one, do it yourself. It's not cheating, it's, in my opinion, being smart. But I watched how he put his together, and it definitely simplified it for me. So if you get a chance, watch his video. It's a good example to use. And I gotta make sure that I have this going on the correct way. Grab that pin there, and there's another pin down here. There we go. And this gasket kind of wants to sneak in on me a little bit. We'll straighten that up as we go. Now there are two holders that hold this on, and I know when I watched Squatch's video, he made a comment about this, and I agree with him wholeheartedly, that there's all of 2 bolts that lock this in place. And he made a comment about how he would have bolts all over the place, and I am right there with him. I'll tell you right now, this is not enough for my liking to hold this in place, but that's what we got. So I'm just going to try to finesse this gasket in place here a little bit before I tighten anything down. Yeah, I was very much on board with him that all that we have is these 2 bolts that lock this plate on here. Not enough for me. All right, so that gets that in place. You can see I've engaged the pins. I actually changed the camera view because, being right-handed, you're going to get to see a lot more of what I'm doing instead of a lot more on my backside when we're doing this. So you're going to have a different angle from it now. I should probably move those so that's not blocking your view. These do get locked in place. I noticed that was one thing that Squatch did on his. So I'm going to make sure to take and bend my tabs up real quick and lock those so they don't loosen up. Then once we get that in place, what we'll do is we'll take and put our camshaft in. Let me get these locked into place. I'm just using a little screwdriver that I have here that doesn't have much of a blade on it. I'll just start these tabs coming up. I need something a little beefier than that. There we go. I'm going to think those tabs lock it. I think they did prior. I don't think they locked that. I'm going to flatten those back down. They're too short to be locking. I don't want to throw Squatch under the bus and say he did that. I might be making that up. I may have to look into that, look that up. I might need to bend those up. I still think if they're locking, they're very, very short tabs, so I don't think they lock those in place. There's no reason for those to lock anything in place. It just holds this whole thing together. So let me go grab the camshaft because we're ready to put that in and we can tighten that up. Be right back. So I got the camshaft here, as you can see. And what we're going to do is let's just put, I'm just putting regular oil on all the lobes before we put it in. Just make sure it's got a good coat on it. It's kind of oily already, but I just want to make sure we get a little extra in there. Okay. Now what I need to do, because we have to time this, is let me bring my timing marker around, which is currently right here. Let me bring it over to here. It'll make life easier on us. I'm going to go with it about right there to start. All right, I'll take and slide this guy in ever so gently. I'm going to help it in from the inside. I don't want to ding stuff up any more than I can absolutely help it. It should go in nice and easy. You got to line everything up though. There we go. Now, before I do that, I'm going to reposition you guys so you can see this better. So stand by. Alright, I got a timing mark there, and I gotta find the other timing mark on the camshaft here. Oh, it's way over here. Alright, now the weird thing is these meshing together. So we gotta make sure that when we go to mesh them, that we line them up so that they mesh correctly. And on my first try, I believe I got it to mesh correctly. The two dots are where they should be. I just, for some reason, well, I'm not going in all the way with the camshaft. I don't want to tap it with a hammer, but here I go. It should go in about another 1/4 of an inch. I don't know why it's not. Let's see if I can finagle this in here. Well, oh, I know why, because my collar is out of place. So there's a collar back here, and I forgot all about it, and I put it in. Unfortunately, now I need to sneak this out a little bit, and I need to line that up as we go in. Let me see here. All right. Let me see if I can line this guy up. I'll pull this back out. All right. Every time I put it in, it moves on me. There we go. I think it's there. shy of wanting to go in. I think maybe one of my tabs is in the way that holds this whole assembly in here. It shouldn't be. And this bolt goes in there, except for when you lose the lock washer already. All right, I'm going to back this back out. Back up. Make sure that I'm timed, because nope, I'm not. This is the struggle with this. Let me have a look at something real quick. Pull this guy back out. I noticed when I put these in that this one tab was bent a little different than the other. So I think I might switch the tabs. Maybe there isn't a difference. That one's got a little bit of an angle on it. Looks like it stays out of the way a little better. Yeah, I think it does. I like that better. I don't know if that made the difference. But it now is out of the way a little bit better than it was before. All right. So this is the piece that I'm talking about that needs to go into there. So we're going to carefully put this in. Let me grab it from the inside. Just help the center lobe get lined up. There we go. Now let's get our timing marks situated. Get that situated. And my timing marks are lined up. I'm going to give that a little bit of a tap to get in. Something is not correct somewhere. I don't know why this is being held up. Went in perfect before. I'm gonna have to do some checking.